Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host Hal, and Phineas, how you doing? Welcome back.
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. It's cozy to be back.
Yeah, cozy. I am cozy too. Yeah.
It's cold, but like I got a heater by me, so I'm like doing okay for once, you know.
Yeah, it's fucking April. What's with this heating? Come on, man. Like
It's a northern thing. It's for me. It's a Chicago thing for me, but like about a year ago, it was a Maine thing for me.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm still in that New England mindset. It's still cold, but like, you know what? At least it's New England cold, not Chicago cold. I hear that's pretty fucking cold.
It's actually pretty similar from my first winter in Chicago experience.
Okay. Yeah.
I love it. I love the cold a little bit, maybe. I don't know. It's always wild because I don't know how things are gonna go each and every day of cold. You know?
Yeah. You love the cold. I love A Night at the Opera, starring the Marx Brothers. How about that?
Yeah. Great movie.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. We get to talk about this movie today. Yeah. So, another one-off episode. This time on a movie I've always wanted to talk about. This is one of those Halcore movies where I get to share a movie I either grew up with or I'm obsessed with in some way with people that my friends, not a lot of my friends have seen, or not a lot of people have talked about. So I get to gush about a movie in a way like that, and my profile picture reflects that. It's of Groucho Marx, more specifically his character of Otis B. Driftwood in this movie. So I'm so excited I get to talk about A Night at the Opera. This is actually the second Marx Brothers movie I've talked about on the podcast, because early on in the show's history, I talked about A Night at Casablanca, which is another Marx Brothers movie. Very good. I talked about it.
You paired that one with like Casablanca.
No, I didn't actually. I still haven't talked about Casablanca on the show yet, but it is funny because I talked about it. I talked about A Night at Casablanca with, what was it? I think it was Stranger Things season 3, because early on in the show, I did Stranger Things episodes, and out of all the 4 Stranger Things episodes I did that I paired with a movie, A Night at Casablanca, the Marx Brothers movie, was the only movie I ended up keeping. So yeah, there you go. But when it comes to Marx Brothers movies, A Night at Casablanca is good, but A Night at the Opera, I mean, chef's kiss, man. This is my definitive Marx Brothers movie. I think a lot more people would probably say Duck Soup is their best, and I love Duck Soup, but this one I grew up watching more because I remember watching it as a kid, and it's kind of amazing. I liked seeing this comedy from the 30s as a child, you know?
Yeah. I think there's a thing about a lot of like vintage comedies that I think people can really get behind as a kid. I remember like when I was a kid, my meme always had like a collection of like the Tom and Jerry shorts, right?
Yeah.
Which those are cartoon, this is live action, but it's a very similar like it had a like anything in like the early days of Hollywood had such a unique energy comedy wise compared to what we get nowadays that I'm surprised kids can get as into them. But it's very goofy and it's very simple, which is like it's simple in all the right ways to make it accessible, you know?
Yeah, because it's obviously it's a movie. It's very simplistic plot wise and story wise. It's mostly about the jokes and the gags and whatnot, as a lot of comedies tend to be. But, you know, I think it does well with the story it's given. It knows what to focus on. And it's only 91 minutes. So it packs everything that a good comedy can pack in a short amount of time, relatively speaking.
Yeah. I always think with comedies, it's kind of a case of less is more for a lot of them. So you want to get the bits right. Like,
yeah.
And there are so many good bits. I can't get over the two hard-boiled eggs routine was fantastic.
And it's as simple as just having characters say "and 2 hard-boiled eggs" at the end of every sentence, and it never got old. It was funny every time.
This film's got a consistency to it that really, really helps it like ring true. I think.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a single point where I'm like, "This is boring," you know. you stick around for the ride. It's cozy, like I feel like this would be a great kind of like late night before bed movie for like families.
Oh yeah, well
Like
that's how I watched it originally. I remember it being a family movie night. I had to have been, I don't remember, like between the ages of 7 and 9, let's say. That's how
yeah,
old I was. And yeah, it was one of those down in the family room, fireplace roaring fire, and we just
right.
pop on the VHS tape of this. Yeah.
Dude, VHSs were so iconic and so classic, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it had that fuzziness to it that really captured it. I mean, I don't have that VHS tape anymore. That was one of the VHS tapes I sadly got rid of. I've talked about this before. There was like a time when we got rid of a bunch of our VHS tapes to kind of upgrade them to DVDs and Blu-rays. There were a handful I saved because I couldn't get rid of some of them where I'm like, I can't in good conscience get rid of this.
Right.
And that's why the ones that I've talked about on the podcast are the ones that those are the occasional VHS tapes, because those are the ones that survived. Well, that, and sometimes I'll just go out to the store and see a VHS tape and be like, Lamau, this would be funny to have. So,
I
um,
I I
yeah,
feel you there.
yeah,
I think the thing with VHSs is they're so cheap most of the time
yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
Like you can like at any like Goodwill or something, you can see like see like every Disney Renaissance movie for like $5, which is
five
pricey for a
dollars.
VHS, but cheap for Disney,
I mean, yeah, the store I go to, Bull Moose, I've talked about this before. They
My
have
beloved.
Yeah, yeah. You're from Maine, so you know. Yeah, no,
Oh yeah.
they have VHS tapes for like 30 cents, which is like, I mean, the catch is that they're in the back. They're just stacked. They're not neatly organized in alphabetical order like the DVDs and Blu-rays are. They're just kind of strewn across, like in this single table, the one I go to.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, but I get it. It's a VHS. They're only there for people like us who are just like, we want the aesthetic.
Right. Well, and the thing too, it's like the thing with the bull moose. I'm trying to. It's funny because it's like I feel like to explain it to like other people, it's like a standard like video store, but it's also so much more.
Yes, yeah, because
Like it's got such a good such a good used catalog. They got and it's like anything you can think of from like music, movies, video games was a big thing.
video games is
I
a huge
think there
thing. Yeah.
I think there was a big phase where they weren't really that into collecting video games, and then
Mm.
eventually they just like caught on like wildfire, and it was one of the best because they're and it's sad because only specific Bulmus locations would have like the like little boxes of like shelves of like the
Yeah.
yes games, no case, just cartridge.
I love that.
Um,
Oh, I'm surprised we didn't talk about this on your first episode. I'm surprised I didn't think to be like, oh, we should talk about Bulmos, because literally you would be the only other person who's been a guest on this podcast that would understand Bulmos. Every time I explain Bulmos to other
yeah,
people, they know what I'm talking about. They're like, oh yeah, Bulmos, but they've never experienced it. You're the only other person who has experienced it. So
well, it's a weird thing where it's like it's kind of funny when we think about right the fact that both of us are like New Englanders,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because it's like I'm from what I've gathered, people in this podcast are from various places. That's
yeah.
the root of like online things. But it's like the whole New England heritage. It's like as someone who's like left New England, I there's kind of a special charm to it, and Bull Moose kind of embodies that. I forget if it was more of a Massachusetts or Massachusetts, Maine, or like New Hampshire thing first.
It's only New Hampshire and Maine, but I live very close.
Really,
I live
gotcha.
close to New Hampshire, so I can just go over the border. There are so many times I just go over to New Hampshire to buy stuff. Like
Dude, they're tax free.
yeah, I frequent between Massachusetts and New Hampshire a lot.
I well, I've lived. So the thing for me is I've never like had my own license or my own car, right?
Hmm.
So it was very much so limited, but the places that I could adventure to were pretty great.
Yeah.
Like there's bonuses like everywhere in like not everywhere in Maine, but there's like a good like key points. Like there's one 15 minutes from my house,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um where we could just go and like grab whatever, and it's really cool that they're still in business, right? Because you'd think that a lot of these like physical media stores would be out of business, but no, Bull Moose seems like they're doing great always.
I think they're doing better now because places like Target and Best Buy don't do physical media anymore. So it's like,
Which is crazy for me to think about.
I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's frustrating. And now it's like, well, now I have no reason to ever go back to Best Buy or Target. So, oh well.
I think Best Buy, I mean, like it's funny. I always remember with both of those stores, like the video game sections, but it's like never like gonna go by. My dad, so we have a 3D TV in our basement,
right?
And my dad's a big 3D person. Like that's his way to watch films whenever he can. Which is fair. I'm not the biggest 3D head myself, but I respect it. But it's super funny how 3D compared to like every other format has like such a deep, like the people who really like 3D really, really like 3D.
Yeah.
And so for a while in the 2010s when we have a 70-inch TV in our basement, right, that my dad's turned into his personal thing. He just picked up as many Blu-rays as he can think of. So we got plenty of bad films on Blu-ray from the 2010s era. Especially kids' films.
Oh, no.
So it's like we have Planes, Fire and Rescue. We have Turbo on Blu-ray.
Ooh,
we got
there you
Epic
go.
on Blu-ray.
Nice, just like James.
Yeah. No, when that joke happened initially in the video, I was like, "Yeah, that's relatable."
Yeah. Remember, everybody, James's favorite movie ever is Epic, only because he has it on Blu-ray. It's his only Blu-ray he owns. So
that's the only Blu-ray he owns?
I don't think he owns it anymore, but I'm gonna spread misinformation. That's the only Blu-ray he owns.
You know what? I'm gonna believe misinformation. That's the only Blu-ray he owns.
Good. Anyway,
the power of misinformation, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of misinformation, this was a podcast episode about A Night at the Opera, and we've been talking about Bull Moose and VHS tapes. You've been fooled.
Look, if you've been here for the first episode, you know where this goes. I think we had one of the longer episodes, about 2 specials. I think length of episode compared to the length of what we watched, which was 2 TV movie things.
Oh yeah, our episode was longer than both of the movies combined. Don't worry, you're not. You might be in the upper echelon of longest episodes. You don't have the longest episode though. Don't worry.
No worries.
You will never reach the 9.5 hour Alien episode.
That's insane.
Well, I mean. Never say never, but also I don't want to make another 9.5 hour episode anytime soon.
I wouldn't do that. That's a terrifying thing to go through.
Yeah, it happened on accident. It was a accident.
It's sometimes you talk with people on a Discord call and it just goes into this whole vibes. And
of course,
keep talking and
yeah. But anyway, A Night at the Opera. I'm sorry, no, but
you're good.
To get back on track, I love this movie. I have it on Blu-ray, a Warner Archive Blu-ray, and it looked great on Blu-ray. I mean, again, I am nostalgic for that fuzzy look that a VHS has, but watching it. And this nice Blu-ray, it looked amazing. It looked awesome.
Yeah,
the transfer was fantastic. So I wanted to mention that. But let's go over the brothers. Let's go over who the Marx Brothers are, because I would imagine a lot of people, they probably have heard of the Marx Brothers, but they're not as familiar with them, if they've even heard of them at all. So I think we should establish that. So
I feel bad for the Marx Brothers, because whenever I hear the word Marx, I'm like, Karl Marx.
Yeah. No, these are not the creators of communism. Don't get that twisted. No, that's
their grandfather.
The grandfather, yes. So the Marx Brothers were a comedy group, and I guess they started in vaudeville, so maybe in the 20s. I'm not entirely sure. But they started in vaudeville, and there was 5 of them. Then they moved to pictures. For whatever reason, they only had 4 brothers in the pictures. The other brother was named Zeppo, and he's actually in Duck Soup and a couple of the early Marx Brothers films. But he was more of the straight man kind of character. He wasn't really this. He didn't really have a goofy persona. His point was kind of being the straight man there. So by the time they got to A Night at the Opera, we're down to 3 Marx Brothers, and that was kind of for the rest of their tenure is in films is that there was only really three. So the three we have here, the main one is let's start with Groucho. He's definitely the most iconic Marx brother.
Agreed.
Groucho Marx, he's got like he's probably got the most iconic look. He's got glasses, thick eyebrows, thick mustache. Fun fact, the mustache is painted on. It's not like a fake mustache you just put. Like, he literally just smeared like black paint under his nose and called.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because my dad told me that as a kid, and I used to think that was because I remember, being a kid, you would paint and then you get like paint all over yourself, and then your mother would just be like, "Don't get paint on yourself, like it could get stuck and like it's dangerous." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, don't put paint on yourself." And then I see this adult man with paint, by the way, under his nose, paint from the 30s. Also, who knows how much lead is in that?
No.
So it's like, so me as a child seeing this adult man with a painted on mustache being like, wait a minute, adults can be stupid too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But still though, Groucho Marx, even though he was dumb for painting on his mustache, he was nothing short of a comedic mastermind.
Agreed.
He is my favorite Marx brother. I'll say that right now, which you agree, right?
No, he was the one where I'm the kind of person where I love a lot of more like verbal comedy. Like I'm a writing dialogue kind of guy when it comes to watching things. He was the one who immediately I'm like, yes, I completely that connects to me so well. Yeah, no, and he did so great.
Oh, dude, I don't want to spend the whole episode just quoting everything Groucho says, because that would literally just take up the entire runtime, because everything he says is the funniest thing you will ever hear. He is that funny.
The first moment in this film that kind of like broke that for me was the well, a lot of it, but one of the things that I remember getting me was when Harpo's knocked out one of the guys, and then like Chico comes up and is like, "What happened to him?" and he says, "Oh, I shot him with a gun."
One of my favorite things about Groucho is he always seems like he's the coolest guy in the world, and you definitely get that because the fact that he's just some random rich guy in this movie,
Yeah.
Like, he has no character outside of the fact that he's just this smarmy, like, rich guy. Like, he's suave and so funny.
This is what Tony Stark would be doing if he didn't have the responsibilities of being Iron Man.
Right, yeah. He's just, he's literally just, like, the wisecracking, like, cool guy who's also rich, even though he looks like Groucho Marx.
Right.
But he's not above making himself seem like a fool, too. And that's what I love about Groucho, because there are so many there's so many moments in this movie, and a lot of Marx Brothers especially, but definitely in this movie, where he knows something's about to go wrong and he could easily fix it, but he doesn't because he knows it'll be funny if he doesn't. So he'll just so like when he's inconvenienced, like he will let it happen. He will let an inconvenience happen to him because he knows like subconsciously he knows it'll be funny. So he just lets it happen. And it does end up being funny. So yeah, in that moment where like, what is it? Laprasi? No, what the fuck is that guy's name? The Italian singer who the dickhead singer. Laspari. Yeah, when he's lying on the ground and Chico's like, "What happened to him?" and Groucho just goes, "Oh, I shot him with a gun." He didn't, but yeah, he says that because he knows that would be the funniest thing.
He had a great comedic energy. The other thing that I can't get over, or that was super funny, when he fell down all those stairs, it doesn't seem like there was any stunt double. So he just, as the actor, fell down like 2 flights of stairs.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, even though this character breathes like wisecracking, "I'm the coolest character in the movie," he still gets kicked down the stairs. So like, yeah, there's no ego to this character. Like he will absolutely be the butt of a joke where he'll get kicked in the butt and fall down the stairs, 4 flights of stairs. Yeah, exactly. It's masterful. It is so funny. And again, literally one of the wittiest characters I've ever seen. I've always wanted to have just a fraction of his comedic power. Like, that is my goal in life. Like, I wish to someday be as comedically funny as Groucho Marx. It'll never happen, but one can only dream.
well, it's like it's a lot of that kind of comedy where it's like it's interesting because I can see a lot of like his style of like the faster remarks and stuff is such a principle of like improv comedy, right?
Yes.
And it's like you can kind of see how it's super interesting how like vaudeville kind of like it was a culmination of a lot of like styles of an older day, but I feel like
Yeah.
out of vaudeville we've seen so many professions and like brands of humor or creative existence build, and improv feels one that's very descended from like a vaudevillian like the vibes of when people are talking. I don't think that's how improv actually originated, but it's like it's got a vibe where it's very akin to a lot of these like fast or wisecracking and faster jokes of this era.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just everything he says is so funny. It's
Right.
not even an understatement. I could quote literally any other line that he said. I'm not going to because again, we'd be here all day. It's the and I really tried to challenge myself when writing my review for Letterboxd. I'm like, I should not just quote this movie in my Letterboxd review, and I didn't. And I'm very proud of myself, but let me tell you, it was not easy because I could have chosen
So
any line.
mo- you're doing better than 90% of letterbox reviews because I feel like 90% of letterbox reviews are funny quote from a movie, then proceeds to funny quip.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Uh,
Lovingly, I say.
yeah, lovingly, of course. Wink. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk about Harpo because I think that's the second most popular Marx brother.
Yeah.
Harpo, Harpo's interesting because he's obviously his big gimmick is that he can't talk. He is
Right.
ostensibly Dopey from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Think that kind of character.
Yeah.
Um, where he doesn't say a word and he's all visual comedy. And he's really good at that too because he has some of the best facial expressions. He gets a lot of the slapstick too. Whereas
Yeah.
Groucho's a lot more dialogue heavy comedy. This character is a lot more slapstick and visual heavy comedy.
Totally. No, I think that's one of the other things that's so cool with them things that if when someone has like these multiple when someone has these multiple levels of comedy in a film, and I thought a lot of his bits wound up being really really solid
Mm-hmm.
consistently.
Yeah, you get like the scene when he like one of his first scenes is when he just goes when he's dressed in the clown costume, and
Right.
yeah, that's like literally it. He's just in Laspari's like clown costume, and he comes in and he's just like take that off, and he takes off the clown costume, and he's just wearing a dress underneath there.
I know.
It's his first joke, and it's so funny.
It's one of the cool things with like slapstick and physical comedy is it's very much so you get a lot of like big emotions, but you also get a lot of like blink and you miss it like jokes within there. Like
Yeah.
visual comedy is like it's such a good supplement to other forms and stuff too. Like I think part of what makes this film work so much as a comedy is you got a little bit of like everything here, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Harpo, my first thing with his characters is it's like it's so funny because he doesn't speak. I think he has like this really like sweet like sweet vibe to him, you know,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of his shenanigans. We can't you just can't help it but like root for the guy, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. And he does so in a way that again, yeah, you'd think like the not talking would get old, but because he has such a wide range of emotions and personality to him that
Yeah.
you're able to figure out what he's feeling in any given scene. Which I can't imagine is an easy thing to do to just not say anything and still come across as
Right.
understandable.
Oh, totally. No, I'm with you there.
And even then he also gets some of like the best stunts in the movie where he like some of the biggest stunts he does is when he's hanging off the side of the ship when it's he's hanging off the rope off the side of the ship, and then at the end when he's just swinging like Tarzan amongst the ropes behind the stage. Like again, he doesn't have to say anything, he's just doing these incredible feats, and just the fact of him doing them is funny, but he's able to still deliver that punch home really really well too.
Yeah, no, I very much agree with you there. it's really lovely to see come to life.
Yeah. So Harpo he's not my favorite. Again, like I said, I'm still a Groucho man, but Harpo,
Same.
I can imagine there being a lot of Harpo fans out there for sure.
I feel like I'm trying to think for like what kids would think, because I feel like there's got to be I feel like Harpo is probably the kid's favorite because
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
he literally, one of his scenes is like he's playing the piano and he like pretends to slam his fingers, and there were children in that scene and they were dying laughing. Literally, just him making faces was making them laugh. So like, yeah,
Right.
he definitely seemed to be like a child's definitely go to.
Yeah. And then finally there's Chico, who
Chico,
I liked a lot.
yeah,
I did, but is for me feels a little not underwhelming, but like he's less defined than the other two. I think that's one
yeah,
of the big things going into it.
yeah. When I think of like kind of comparing the Marx Brothers to the Three Stooges, when you think of the Three Stooges, you think, oh, they have very distinguished personalities, or very defined
Right.
personalities, I should say. You know who Mo is, you know who Larry is, you know who Curly is. And
Right.
for those who definitely know, they know who Shemp is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Shemp. That was not a dig
Yeah,
towards Shemp.
no.
I'm a huge Shemp fan. Um, but my thing is that you know who these are, and they have very distinct looks, very distinct personalities, and Chico does, but he's not as well defined as, say, a Groucho or a Harpo, because I feel like a Groucho or a Harpo is kind of timeless, whereas you have Chico. You look at Chico, his biggest defining personality trait is that he has a very stereotypical Italian accent, which is funny,
Right.
but you definitely don't have the hook the same way you do with Groucho, who's like this very witty god of comedy, and Harpo, who is this silent, bumbling, like lovable doofus character.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I did appreciate Chico a lot more in this time around, and because that's where I realized, Chico, even though he's not the best, because obviously Groucho and Harpo are the best at what they do, but he
Right.
can absolutely match their styles with what they do. So Chico, because he can talk, he can talk, and obviously because he talks in that thickest Italian accent, but he is very good at matching Groucho's level. And
Yeah.
after us just doing nothing but praising Groucho as one of the funniest characters ever, the fact that Chico can match that is nothing short of impressive.
I agree.
Yeah, so you have the contract tearing scene, for example. Like, that's one of the most famous scenes in the movie. Yeah, exactly.
No, that was so great.
Yeah, first off, I think that scene starts off with one of my favorite. I have to quote. I know I just said I don't want to quote, but I
You're
have to
welcome
quote.
to.
So Otis says, "2 beers, bartender," and Chico goes, "I'll take 2 beers too." It's a great way to start off that scene. But then yeah, they're going over contracts at the beginning, which at first you think, oh, contracts. That sounds hilarious. Sarcasm, because it's like, contracts, really? That's what we're going with? But it's the way that the characters do this scene out that really makes it one of the funniest. So you have like these two characters holding up these big pieces of paper, and they're just going over stuff, and Chico's just like, no, I don't like that, let's tear that out. And so they just tear it off, and they're just going through, just being like, the first, what was it? It was like, the party of the first part shall be known as the party of the first part, and he's like, no, that's so no good, that's so no good.
Yeah.
And they just go through that whole thing. It's hilarious. Like, I'm not doing it justice explaining it. But like, you've experienced it, so you know what I'm talking about.
I guess you could call it contractual comedy.
There you go.
So sorry.
No, please. But again, like, that's a very brilliant scene of showing Chico working off of Groucho. Yeah,
you kind of need that to be there, because I think the whole thing is, if it was right, so if the Marx Brothers decided that they were the Marx Brothers, so that means 2 people, and ever cut Chico right, it would be way less effective, because the whole thing and stuff too is, it's like, I think rarely ever is one talker and one silent person fun, you can make it work, but
Right.
it's like it's always fun to have some capacity for like banter, so it's not like
Yeah.
101. And I think Chico is kind of like I think the whole thing for him is when you think about it, he's definitely like helping build the other two a lot too within things.
Yes. Yeah. So you have moments with him and Harpo. They do comedy together really well too.
Yeah.
Like literally the piano scene, for example. So that's a moment that they can build off of each other. That's also a moment that I would point to where Chico can also do Harpo's silent procedure really well too,
Yeah.
because you have him playing the piano and not saying anything. Like literally the comedy is coming from him playing the piano and entertaining the people around him. He doesn't have to say anything and he's still funny. So that's what I love about Chico. He can be both a Groucho and a Harpo. Not obviously the best at that because that's for Groucho and Harpo, but the fact that he can be just as funny as them at doing that stuff.
100%.
And another thing I like about the Marx Brothers, I went over this in my review, but I'll say it again here. I like them because they're not like the Three Stooges, where the Three Stooges are good. They're very, they have very good personalities and they work off each other really well. But the Three Stooges are at their funniest when it's the three of them together. Like the funniest parts of any Three Stooges short comes from the three of them doing something together, not just one of them going off and doing something. It can be funny when one of them is doing something funny, but the funniest parts is when it's them together. Marx Brothers, meanwhile, they can be the funniest whether they're together or not. So you can have Groucho off with some other characters saying the funniest thing ever, and it's funny. You can have Chico doing the same thing, like being the funny guy compared to like the straight man in any given situation, and it's hilarious. You can have Harpo doing something. You can have Groucho and Chico interacting, it's hilarious. You can have Groucho and Harpo interacting, it's hilarious. You can have Harpo and Chico interacting. Like you have all these possibilities, and it's so funny. Like it's never boring.
So much of the thing that's so cool with this is it's like I'm curious how it is with their other specials or with their other films, and this watching this one for me made me want to check out the rest of their catalog.
Yeah.
Because the thing that I thought was so interesting with this is it's very much a Groucho led one. I'm assuming Groucho kind of like he strikes me as the character most likely to like take the lead in any given shenanigan,
Yes.
And I'm assuming that's part of how the routine works in the rest of things too, or
trying to think. Yeah, he's pretty much always the main focus of any given Marx Brothers movie that I've seen, at least. But yeah, because I'm trying not to say that he's like the main character,
right? No,
because he's not
the main character of the Marx Brothers. No. We obviously know, guys, that the main character of the Marx Brothers is Gummo or Zeppo, one of the two.
Oh, the fifth one was named Gummo? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I might have known that, but whenever I think of Gummo, I think of the Harmony Korine film that I haven't seen yet. But that's so fun. Of course his name would be Gummo. Who am I kidding? Why am I surprised by that?
Well, it's interesting because I was doing like a lot of like reading on the lore, because when I'm watching films, oftentimes the thing for me, I am a constant multitasker, right? So I'll be watching a film on one screen and I'll be researching little bits about the film on the other one and stuff. Reading like TV Tropes page for all the little trivia there, looking at who the person is, when each of these people died, because that's the other thing for me when I see like older films. I'm like, okay, but what's the story of how long you guys lived?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always but they're honestly great with this. Like I was really impressed. I was really impressed by the three on screen.
Yeah,
and a lot of the guest things. One of the things that I brought up to you as I was watching it, the music and just musical and soundtrack to this film go really, really hard.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's called A Night at the Opera. So one of the underlying themes is that, there's an opera. And that's where our...
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But that's where our... Not main characters, obviously the main characters are the Marx Brothers. But you feel as though the Marx Brothers kind of hijacked this film. Like,
Yeah.
if they weren't in it, there would still be the story about a couple of opera singers. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. This isn't like, oh, they hijack and distract away from the story.
No.
It's like, no, the story is what it is in this movie, but the Marx Brothers are the main point of it. But yeah, you have characters like Rosa and Ricardo they're very much like serious characters where they're not meant to be comedic, and they don't get any. I mean, they get some silly scenes, but they're not the ones driving the comedic force in those scenes.
Ricardo strikes me as if Zeppo's the straight man, Ricardo. It seems like they've gotten like just other actors to kind of like play in for the straight man, because Ricardo feels like the straight man to their comedic
which I like Ricardo. He's obviously not the most interesting character, but he works off their comedy really well in taking it in good fortune. Like, I like him and Rosa, how they take the comedy of the Marx Brothers in good fortune. Like, they actually, you know, they're not like the uppity type when it comes to the comedy.
Right.
You know, that's for the villains of the movie, that being Gottlieb and Laspari and Henderson. And also Mrs. Claypool. She's not really a villain, but she is that you know, high society woman character who doesn't understand the comedy and just finds it outlandish and unorthodox, you know?
I was just looking at her actress's Margaret Dumont's Wikipedia page, and it says that Groucho called her the fifth Marx brother.
Yeah, because she has been in a couple other Marx Brothers movies. Obviously, yeah, she was in Duck Soup. Yeah, because she's that's one of her like calls to fame, is being, you know, the person who just, like I said, the high society woman who just like sticks her nose at the shenanigans of the Marx Brothers. Yeah, and she's hilarious at it. I read a little bit about it. Apparently, even in real life, she didn't understand the comedy of the Marx Brothers. She thought they were just ridiculous, which makes her performance even better when you're like, oh, you just straight up like find these people annoying. Like, that's hilarious.
I always think the whole thing that like I think is the beauty of like for learning about classic Hollywood much more nowadays. It's this entire place filled with so many personalities.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, first of all, the nice thing, they didn't have Twitter to ruin them for us.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. So we didn't know at the time how weird these people were. I mean, sometimes you hear things after the fact they're dead, but, you know, yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Twitter couldn't ruin them. The only way you could ever lampoon a celebrity back in the day was during those Looney Tunes cartoons, whenever they'd have caricatures of famous celebrities.
Well, I always think about it within the whole times, because it's like there's so much of like cultural commentary that's been like twisted now, you know, because it's like anyone can get their phone out and start talking about whatever's going on with it. Here, it's much more. I feel like the art scene has been talking about the art scene within things. It's interesting just seeing this like melting pot where the whole thing is like. These guys all have their fans, right? But it truly, it's just, I always find it interesting how the fan creator dynamics have shifted over the years, you know?
Yeah.
It's just kind of one of the beauties of like the media landscape.
Yeah. Yeah. This kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about with comedies as a concept, because I feel like what a lot of comedies, this plays into my problem with a lot of modern movies to begin with, and that is I feel like a lot of movies try to be in on the conversation, so to speak, where they make movies nowadays where they feel as though they had teams of committees scour the internet seeing what people are talking about, and they want to cram that into movies, so then the movie can be like, hey, we're talking about this too, or we're aware of this too.
Jockey.
Yeah. Chicken jockey, exactly.
I did not hear anyone shout that out when I went to the theater to see the Minecraft movie. My theater was so dead.
Oh, good.
But it's crazy. It's crazy to see, huh?
No, I was just gonna say, because like I've seen a lot of people, my friends, like, so I've had direct conversations with people saying going to the Minecraft movie was one of the worst theater experiences of their lives. And I'm like, the fact that I know multiple people who can say that, because usually when it comes to a popular movie, you'll get one or two, people being like, this was awful, this was awful. So the fact that I know several people who have had the worst theater experiences ever at the Minecraft movie is pretty telling, just how crazy people have been going for that movie.
I've seen like literal videos where they like accidentally where like teens have been like kicked out because during like lines like that.
Yeah.
Like people have like absolutely just lost it. It's the fact that the last time I've seen this in theaters for was like Five Nights at Freddy's, which was a similar experience because it's a lot of these films that bring in a lot of like younger people to the theaters. I'm scared that Minecraft's doing so well, by the way. Like, I am so scared of the guy who's getting the wrong message from Minecraft doing well.
I mean, it's inevitable. Hollywood is never going to get it right. They're never going to get why movies are popular, so they're always just going to get the wrong things. And they're always going to do the wrong things in capitalizing off of that, so it's inevitable.
I can't wait for the Fortnite movie.
Now that I'm going to go see. Hell yeah. No, I'm not. I'm kidding. But
what about Lego Fortnite, the movie?
Lego Fortnite? Ooh, you drive a hard bargain.
Right? Like...
No, but my grander point is that, and I'm not trying to sound like an old man when I say that, because I know there are still good movies being made nowadays. I'm not old man like yelling at cloud being like, no, movies aren't as good as anymore. It's like, no, movies are bad nowadays, but movies have always been bad. It's just,
right.
I feel like a lot more people are just more aware of the fact that movies can be bad. Guess what? They can be real bad sometimes. It happens.
Well, it's when you think about it, right? So for us, we've been seeing a lot of these bad films come out in real time and whatever impact and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with bad films is bad films get wiped away with a slate of time. A lot of good films get washed away with the sands of time also,
Yeah. And that's why I think you go out and discover them yourself, though. I mean, that's why I'm spreading the word on A Night at the Opera, because I genuinely love this movie.
It's crazy though with like golden age film and stuff, because it's the same like 200 films or something that always like wind up in the spotlight, you know. And that's how it's gonna be eventually, where we're gonna just have so many of the films that people are complaining about basically forgotten about, aside from those who grew up with them. And I always think about in 100 years what films from our time are going to be like regarded as like classics,
I would love if a Minecraft movie is seen as a classic.
I doubt it will be. But,
no, it will not be. No. I mean, it'll be seen as like a schlocky classic where people are like, I can't believe they've released that in theaters. Like one of those things.
I think it's got one of those things where it's going to have a cult appeal, basically.
Yeah,
where it's going to stand in for a cult thing. I always like to think about what films are going to get reevaluated also in the future. Like, my stance is I think people in the future are going to be much nicer to Joker Folie à Deux.
It's a big claim, but hey, I'm in support of big claims over here. I'm in support of contrarianism.
Well, it's like it's weird because the one time that I saw it, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I think that it's the film that's the kind of film that is going to over time discover its audience, and that there will be not as much of Joker for fans, but there's definitely gonna be a subsect that do like that film a lot.
Well, I hope they do enjoy it. I won't be part of that subsect, but I hope they enjoy it.
It's not a good film in my book,
but yeah. So what I mean by a lot of modern movies kind of just wanting to be in on a conversation, I don't feel that with a lot of older cinema. And whether you want to chalk that up to pretentiousness or like, elites being elites, I don't know. With this movie, I never feel like I'm being talked down to, but I also don't feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like the movie's trying to be like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm with you, audience member.
Right.
It's just showing you something funny because the movie thinks it's funny. Like, there's no grander, like, oh, I'm doing this to appeal to as many people as possible. It's like the movie doesn't care who it appeals to. It just wants to show what it wants to show. And look, sometimes you can make something highly appealing to a large audience. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I would rather a movie not try to act like, I don't know, it looks up the same things on the internet I do. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, like, if a movie was self-aware about what I wanted, that's the charm of YouTube a bit more, you know?
Hmm.
YouTube is a lot more about the whole, not every man, but the voice of the people. But I don't want my films to be like, yeah, this is what's trending. Let's talk about this like time after time after time again, you know?
Yeah. If I don't relate to a movie, that's fine. But like, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna treat it as like a failure on the film's part. Or maybe, I mean,
right.
I guess it depends on the movie. Um, but what I mean is that I don't know. I just don't want it to feel like the movie is trying to appease me when it knows it doesn't want to. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would rather something like A Night at the Opera where it doesn't care either way if I like it or not.
The
It
actors
just
are having the
is.
time of their lives.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So bold take on this here podcast. Me and Phineas agree. A Night at the Opera better than the Minecraft movie, even though I haven't seen the
Crazy, I
Minecraft
know.
movie. I still haven't seen it. I
It,
will get to it. I will get to it.
you don't need to see it, honestly. Like the film's already gonna make it's already gonna make 1,000,000 emeralds
Yeah.
at the box
Oh
office.
yeah, I'm not seeing it
Um,
to help it move it along. I just want to see Chicken Jockey for myself, man, you
do
know?
I forget? Do you have AMC A-lister where you are, or
Uh I go to an AMC. I don't have AMC A-lister, no. I've always thought about getting a Stubbs account and then I just never do because I'm lazy.
do you go to the movies often? Or
No, I'm very busy and
fair.
yeah, you know, just I don't know. Movie tickets just ain't what they used to be. Also, movie theaters aren't what they used to be. I know a lot of people joke how they're just like, "Oh, you just hate movie theaters." It's like, no, I just
No,
hate how what theaters have become. I think they're gross and disgusting, and I don't know. I feel like I could have a better experience if I went to a much nicer theater than the ones around me. But I don't know.
I've heard good things about Alamo Drafthouse,
Yeah, I'd like to check out Alamo Drafthouse if
but
they're expensive, but I would like to try them.
also New England gets everything like last, you know,
That too.
like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. We
It's
do.
real. It's really funny, the New England trend where it's like I don't think there's too many, aside from the Beauty of Bull Moose, like too many like New England train chains, you know.
I mean,
But
we are the number one. Well, we're not. We're not even number one. Most Dunkins. I think
right now,
New York
true.
has Massachusetts B with most Dunkins. It's like fucking. Of course they do.
Really,
I think.
well, they
I
got more
think.
space, but
Yeah, they do. But it's like fucking New York. You always got to one up
dude,
things.
Dunkin' is just the better coffee chain,
I
like
mean,
out of
yeah. I'm more of a Heavenly guy, but that's a local chain
Heavenly.
comparatively.
I've never heard of it.
Heavenly Donuts. It's a local New Hampshire / Massachusetts. It's practically Dunkin'. It's just I don't know. I like their food and coffee better, but I'm not. I'm not. Look, I'm not a snob. I'm not going to stick my nose up at Dunkin'. I have to like Dunkin' because it's part of my Massachusetts heritage. So
Well, it's funny that you have one called like Heavenly Donuts that's popular because like in Maine there's one called the Holy Donut,
oh,
which is like potato based donuts.
of course.
Because it's very good.
I'm
Like
sure
some
it
of the best
is.
donuts I've had.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Dunkin' is just it's weird because it's like so stable everywhere except for Ireland that I lived. Like when I was in Ireland, there's like no Dunkins around in Ireland,
Well, because America runs on Dunkin'.
right? The rest of the world gets Starbucks.
Exactly. Bunch of
Uh
Starbucks drinkers.
oh, so I was doing some reading about the film. Did you hear that like the director was clashing with the Marx Brothers on its production?
That sounds likely because, yeah, a lot of. I mean, that makes sense to me because considering how Groucho is with how quick and how quick he delivers lines, it's like fully believe a lot of his lines were ad libbed. You know?
Well, and from what I read, like Sam Wood's an extreme like perfectionist as far as things go,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
which I feel like perfection and fast-paced comedy are kind of at this like odd, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. That does not sound like it would go over well. So I can imagine there being clashing behind the scenes.
I think I read also, and one of the whole things was like they were clashing over having to do how I think he made the brothers do their own stunts, which I think they would do it. Anyways,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
first,
That's
I don't,
funny.
again, I don't know who. It's so funny with films like this, right? Because oftentimes we talk about films by the director, but it's like this is a Marx Brothers movie, not a Sam Wood movie.
No, yeah. And it's a shame because this is his most popular film according to Letterboxd.
Right.
I guess he has done another Marx Brothers movie, A Day at the Races. I haven't seen that one
Yeah.
yet. Um
I kind of love their. Well, it seems like they're like kind of like based on the names, A Night at the Opera, A Day at the Races. That's definitely in pattern, I guess.
ooh, yeah, that would be cool if they're like connected in some way. I'd love to look into that
The Marx
more.
Brothers cinematic universe.
Yeah, maybe. The only other thing I felt like I wanted to mention with this movie, more specifically, because again, I feel like because it's a comedy, I could literally just go over every scene and talk to you about why it's the funniest thing ever, but I would not
Well,
do it justice. But I'll do that once. This is my one thing.
go
This is
ahead.
the one scene I'll choose to do that for, and that is the room stuffing scene when they're just getting everybody into Groucho's small, dinky little cabin. Um, so yeah, he gets on the ship and they go to like, and he's going around to all these suites to find his room, and he finds his room, and it's this really small room, and it builds upon that where he's just getting all these people in because he opens up his trunk, Groucho. Groucho opens up his trunk. Harpo, Chico, and Ricardo are hidden in there. And I love how nonchalantly he takes it. He's just like, "Oh, this is usually where my clothes would be, but I don't remember packing you guys." It's like
I know.
realistically, he should be like, "What the fuck are you doing in here?" But of course, the funnier option is him just being like, "Yeah, okay, I guess you guys are here now."
Yeah.
But then all these different characters start coming in. You got the maids making up the bed. You have a woman mopping. You have the engineers going to like fix stuff. You have an engineer coming in to fix something, and then you have his assistant, who's this big burly dude, just comes in. Like all these people like just jamming in. And the funniest one is when he gets a knock at the door. He opens it, and it's a masseuse, and she's like, "Did you call for a manicure?" And he goes, "No, come on in." Again, that highly inconveniences him, but he knows subconsciously it's funny, so he's going to allow it anyway. It's the
It's great.
funniest thing, and they fit so many people in that room. I don't know if this it would probably be one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. I mean, it's a backdrop on Letterbox for crying out loud.
Right. It's well, it's one of those things where it's like I think the funny thing with comedies that do the thing with comedy as a landscape is it's all about trying to subvert the expectations, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in the best way possible because it's
Yes.
subverting things in bad ways. But I thought this film never like let me down as far as that goes, where
No.
everything was funny, down to like at the final opera when they break into the whole baseball thing randomly, which is funny.
Peanuts here. Hot peanuts. Get your peanuts here.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they literally just start playing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Harpo and Chico start throwing a ball while they're in the orchestra, and Groucho, for no reason, just starts walking around the audience. He even had they go the extra mile, giving him like a white shirt to have over his suit, where he's just like peanuts here. He's just throwing peanuts at the crowd. They go so far into it, and they don't go too far. They go so far enough that you're just like, this rules.
it's crazy to always think about how with a film like this it would not be made today. I feel like in its vibe,
Hmm.
I just I I I feel like would either make the whole world like pretty wacky, 'Cause I feel like we're getting less of these like one character is wacky in a very serious world because
Mm.
and it's a lot of the fault of like so much of the quipping humor that we have so common because
Yes.
everyone's got to kind of be the wise guy. No one can roll with a bit.
Yeah.
And
And you can have multiple quipping wise guys. Like the Marx Brothers proves that with the characters like Groucho and Chico. You can do that.
yeah,
But you also need a balance where, yeah, you do have the stick in the muds, like Gottlieb, like Henderson, like Mrs. Claypool, even,
right.
where they don't even need to be villainous roles like Mrs. Claypool. She's not a villainous role. Obviously, characters like Gottlieb and Laspari are more villainous. You have Mrs.
Hmm.
Claypool, who's still a stick in the mud, but she's not like villainous. Like she's,
Jacqueline.
yeah.
She's just inconvenienced by the shenanigans,
Yeah, which is funny. But then you can also have, yeah, I feel like characters like Ricardo and Rosa you won't see anymore. Like the
No.
sympathetic, normal characters in a comedy movie. I don't know why. Yeah, every character has to be Groucho. And then when every character is Groucho, it's not funny
No one
anymore.
is.
Yeah, no one is, exactly. But yeah, you need that balance. They don't need to be stick in the muds or straight men. They can be completely normal characters like Rosa and Ricardo. We need more Rosas and Ricardos in modern movies.
I think the whole, honestly, this gives me it's weird because the whole hijacking a story concept's always so fascinating to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Within things, because it's like, what happens when the characters who are clearly the side characters, irrelevant to someone else's story, decide that they're the main characters now and go on this own wacky plot,
Yeah.
And the films that attempt stuff like that nowadays are either so on the nose. Like I keep thinking about within this for like bad quality is like Free Guy, which like
Oof.
misses all the marks with that.
Oof. Yeah, talk about a stinker. Ooh, yeah, Free Guy hurts.
Free Guy is one of those films where I'm very up and down on depending on the day. I have friends where I have two really good friends back home where one of the only guy that they both agree, or one of the only guys that both are into is Ryan Reynolds. So we watched Free Guy at my house again. And it's interesting seeing the film because it's like there's parts of that film that I'm like, wow, you could have had some really fun concepts, but you went for like the lowest denominator on like every joke.
Yeah. So yeah, you say you're up and down on Free Guy.
I am mostly down nowadays.
Mostly down. Let's not get ourselves. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, and not to say that there isn't any modern comedy I don't like. Obviously, the biggest outlier is Hundreds of Beavers. Gotta shout out Hundreds of Beavers. Not only is it one of my favorite movies of the 2020s, it's literally my third favorite movie of all time now. So that's significant.
Well, like for me, one of my comedies that I always think about that's like top tier for me is like the Guardians of the Galaxy films, where everyone is a little quippy, but like it's the thing where the comedy is like surrounded by all the characters' charm,
Oh yeah,
the whole thing is that, huh?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I agree. Guardians is a good example of like a studio comedy working really well because that also has the advantage of being part of the MCU. But yeah, no, I think those movies definitely do transcend your usual schlock.
Nowadays, the way I've been thinking about Marvel, right? Marvel as a whole is a pretty like massive universe in the breakout films that I really think of kind of separately are like the Guardians films and the Spider-Man films.
Oh yeah, Sam. I think a lot of people agree. Yeah, Guardians and Spider-Man are the only reason people still watch them. But now with Guardians 3 out of there and Spider-Man 3, it's like, I don't really want to keep going, do I?
Well, it's like, and it's so sad because it's like Thor Ragnarok was like one of the was also a pretty solid comedy when I last watched that one, and then they immediately butchered it with Taika Waititi's Thor: Love and Thunder, which
oof,
yeah, no, it's
woof.
That is probably one of my least favorite Marvel films, honestly.
I honestly can't remember what the last MCU film I watched. I guess it technically was Deadpool and Wolverine. I have not been caught up with the MCU.
Deadpool and Wolverine's fine, it's fun.
I didn't like it, but like, that's the thing. It's like at this point, it's like spinning a wheel. Do I like this? Do I not like this? Oh, Guardians 3, I like this. Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't like this. But yeah, the MCU again. I'm not caught up with the MCU out of like, oh, I stopped watching after Endgame. I'm sick and tired of people saying that, where they're just like, oh, I stopped watching after Endgame. It's like, shut up. I don't care. If people truly didn't care about the MCU in its current state, they wouldn't bring it up like every 5 minutes being like, yeah, I stopped watching after Endgame. It's like, stop that. Stop saying that. You're enough. First of all, they're lying because everybody went and fucking saw No Way Home. So you didn't stop watching after Endgame. Stop lying. But anyway, no, I'm just literally the reason I have not been caught up with the MCU is because of timing. And there's just so much shit that I'm like, I got better things to do, man. I'll get to it someday. I just haven't yet.
It's the hard thing with how the MCU is so interconnected, because I think the whole thing about having connected universes is really cool overall.
Sure.
But like the way that Marvel like intertwined it, where it's like it's such a confusing mess sometimes nowadays. And like my one of my biggest hot takes, right, is I almost always hope for the best with a sequel to something. There's
Sure.
a few sequels where I'm like, this is gonna be garbage. One of my hot takes that I'm gonna say now, and I can't wait for it to bite me in the butt. I think Megan 2 is gonna be an awful film.
Oh, dude, I agree. I didn't like I didn't like Mathrigan 1, Mathrigan 2.
Okay.
Oh, dude, I saw that trailer. I'm like,
That is one of the
"Ooh.
worst trailers of the whole year so
Ooh, it's
far.
bad." I can't wait though. I think I can't wait to see it though. It's going to be great. Great
I remember I
equal
think I
bad.
vaguely liked the first Mithrigan, but
Mhm.
like vaguely, like 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, like liking the film.
Hmm.
And not a film that I ever want to see a sequel to. On contrast for horror sequels, I caught up on all the Final Destination films in January,
Hmm.
and I'm actually excited for Bloodlines.
Hmm. Yeah, I forgot that was coming out. I haven't watched those movies. I'd like to though.
It would be a fun, it would be a fun. Well, you kind of do those things where you like marathon horror series.
Yeah, I might not do that this October, but
Fair.
someday I should. Like I feel like I will tackle every horror franchise eventually. It's just
Yeah,
a matter of actually getting there.
horror is such a weird genre when it comes to franchises, because it's
Oh
like
yeah.
I think the numbers for like horror movies stack up so quickly, and movies that you would never expect to get a sequel get sequels. I just think it's so crazy that there's technically a trilogy based around Split.
Yeah, well that's I don't know what Shyamalan was thinking with that. Not to say that like, cuz Unbreakable is literally my absolute all-time favorite Shyamalan movie. I love it so
Fair.
much. And I like Split. I haven't seen it in years. I don't know why I rated it a 9 out of 10, but I do remember liking it. I think it's a good
Right.
movie. Glass, meanwhile,
Oh boy.
yeah, that's an episode
We
for
were in
another day.
we were in theaters for that one. We my uncle came down from like Central Maine,
Yeah.
and we all went to see it. And it's like it's the dumbest concept for like a sequel ever. Like, actually, you guys don't have powers. You guys have been gaslit your whole life. Sorry.
Oh right.
Dies in puddle.
I forgot that was a thing. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I forgot that's what. Did they say that? Like, yeah, Bruce Willis didn't actually have powers to begin with.
That's what the therapist was claiming, because she was trying to trick them to the fact that the superheroes don't exist.
I don't
And I
even.
kind of think,
Yeah, what a
uh,
fucking weird movie. I don't even remember that, but I don't remember a lot from Glass. Is the thing.
no, I don't think many people do, which is part of the whole
No,
thing with it. It's yeah,
I mean people
it
remember.
was.
People remember what is it? What was his movie after Glass? Old more. People remember Old more. So, I mean,
I've
old.
not seen old.
Oh,
The
old was
last film of his
hilarious.
I saw a Trap.
Oh, Trap was so funny until those last 40 minutes. But man,
Honestly, I thought Trap was a consistent fun time through the whole way. Like, even as awkward and bad as parts of it was, just it was kind of in an interesting way. That was the day, I think, in December when I was back home for the holidays.
hmm.
My parents were down sick, so I basically like watched 3 movies from my bed in a day, and it was I triple featured Harold and the Purple Crayon, Dear
Yes.
Santa, and Trap.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. What a triple feature.
did you ever wind up seeing Dear Santa?
No, I didn't end up seeing
Dude, that
that.
is probably the worst Christmas film I've ever seen.
What worse than Island of Misfit Toys?
Yes.
Oh
Exactly.
yes.
The entire concept is a kid's dyslexic, so he writes a letter to Satan
Yeah.
instead of Santa,
Oh
and
no.
so Satan comes to grant him 3 wishes, except it's like not Satan, and it's probably up there for probably one of the worst Jack Black movies ever, because Jack Black's Satan for some reason.
Ugh.
And you're gonna have to see it. I'm very curious your thoughts on it.
I'll see it in December. I'll make that claim now, and then I end up don't seeing it in December. When
Oh, so speaking of Rankin Bass, by the way, I was at like a thrift store like in January, I think, or no, or
yeah.
March it was, and I picked up one copy of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and 2 copies of Cricket on the Hearth.
Wait a minute, 2 copies of Cricket on the Hearth?
Yeah, there was 2 Crickets on the Hearth in their whole thing. And I was thinking, it's $1. If I'm gonna get 1 copy, how much funnier would it be to say that I got 2 Crickets on the Hearth, you know?
I think I remember you sending me a picture of you finding Cricket on the Hearth at the thrift shop, and I'm like, Lamau, but now you got 2 copies.
Yeah, no, the haul for that one, because I don't have a DVD player, was I picked up the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Good movie.
Then Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yep.
And then 2 copies of Cricket on the Hearth. Because like I just was surprised to see it in the wild, because it was just around when I had released like the video where I finally talked about Cricket on the Hearth, and I was like, wow, I think the universe is haunting me.
Yeah. Have I seen Cricket on the Hearth? I don't remember. Did I watch that one?
If you haven't, I can send you a copy.
Honestly, though, if you do send me a copy of Cricket on the Hearth, I would do an episode on it. I don't remember if I watched it, though. Was that one of the one? I remember watching a couple Rankin Bass specials that I'd never seen before back in December.
I think I got you into that whole kick of the Rankin Bass stuff like last December, right?
Yeah, because Rudolph was on the brain, and then I ended up watching the other Rudolph specials, and then we ended up talking about Rudolph. We ended up talking about Rudolph and Frosty more than we talked about Island of Misfit Toys.
Which next year.
Mm-hmm.
No, next year we do a video, but we talk about next year we shoot a sequel video where we go where we talk about Rudolph's Shiny New Year and then Rudolph and Frosty Christmas in July.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Although I
finished the quadrilogy.
I guess so. I did promise a Frosty episode to a couple other people, so would Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July count with that, though, is the thing.
Fair.
I mean,
ooh.
Hey, why are we talking about Christmas?
Yeah,
this is what I do. Do I miss Christmas already? That I'm already just like, because I usually halfway through the year is when I'm like, God, I miss the Christmas specials, but I'm like, I know I can't watch them until the day after Thanksgiving. That's my limit. I can't watch any Christmas stuff until literally the day after Thanksgiving. So
I remember when I was a kid, my dad got so mad the one year that we decided to watch Frosty the Snowman not during Christmas or not during the Christmas season.
Yeah, and
it was like, he's like, it's a once a year tradition. It's not gonna be special anymore, because they were in the generation where they only see once. Also, I was looking at your diary. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of Looney Tunes shorts.
Oh yeah, I've been tune maxing recently.
I respect it. I recently watched all of the Looney Tunes shows, so
yeah. So I'm still tune maxing. I'm kind of falling a little behind, but that's because I've been doing stuff like working and doing podcast episodes every once in a while.
They're kind of really easy to just fit in places.
Oh yeah, they're so easy.
When in January I was trying to do like one film a day for the tradition, and it wound up being for me more often. I would just like, oh, didn't have time to watch anything else. Bam, watching Looney Tunes short.
There you go. So, what were we talking about? What was this episode on? Oh, right. Night at the Opera.
The Night at the Opera. I keep thinking in my brain that it's a day at the opera, which it's not, obviously. Yeah. Time zone differences.
Yeah, no, a night at the opera. You go to the opera at night. You don't go to the opera during the day.
You go to the races at day, and then at the opera at night. Bam.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Perfect day.
That's the intended viewing order, by the way, the Marx Brothers had when they conceived these two films. You're supposed to, in one day, watch a day at the races, and then take a small intermission until it becomes after dark, and then you watch a night at the opera.
Oh, well, then why did they make a day at the races in 1937, and they made this movie in 1935?
Prequel, obviously.
Oh, okay.
They were doing the George Lucas before George Lucas did the George Lucas.
Oh, George, you hack. We figured out your game. It was the Marx Brothers all along.
Yeah, no, George Lucas was 3 Marx Brothers in a trench coat.
I would love that. 100-year.
If someone wants to draw that would be so funny.
Literally 130-year-old Groucho Marx underneath a George Lucas mask. I would love that.
Of course.
I would love that. Wait a minute.
It's how they revived, you know.
We can actually add to this conspiracy theory. Groucho Marx died in 1977. What movie came out in 1977? That's right, A New Hope.
Wow, crazy.
Conspiracy confirmed.
Right? Like, I mean, George Lucas's prior filmography was just Groucho experiencing with a mask before he decides to and hey, have we ever seen Groucho Marx and George Lucas in the same room?
I don't think so. You know, I've seen old pictures
Yeah.
of George Lucas where he has black hair, but now he has gray hair. What's up with that?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm calling bullshit.
This is probably one of the goofiest bits we've done on this podcast.
Oh, well, Phineas, I think I'm just about ready to wrap up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Night at the Opera. I love this movie. I want everybody to go out and watch it any way they can. Oh, it's not on Tubi anymore. I don't know. Just find it anywhere. Pirate it if you want. I don't care. Just fucking watch it somewhere, you know? It's got to be somewhere. It's got to be somewhere easily accessible, but
well, and also if you're watching this from the future, public domain.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah, I mean, hey, 1935. It's going to enter the public domain sooner rather than later at this point.
Yeah.
But I have it on Blu-ray. Warner Archive Blu-ray. Looks fantastic. The Blu-ray box is actually pretty nice. It does not have the recycling logo etched into it, so it's nice and firm. It's a nice Blu-ray. So definite keep for the collection. I love this movie. I want more people to check it out. I'm so glad you loved it. I'm so glad I'm able to show it to other people. I love this movie a lot. I can't wait to watch other Marx Brothers movies in the future. I'm a huge Marx Brothers fan, and I want more people to know about them. So, would you ever own this in your physical media collection?
Would.
Good.
I've not had the time or money to really like build physical or money or space more for a physical media collection.
Mister. Like, I own 2 copies of Cricket on the Hearth on DVD.
Yeah, look, that was very much of an impulse purchase. You know, when rent's due, the first copy of Cricket on the Hearth is gonna have to go.
Yeah, that's how you pay your rent. Is like your landlord comes. It's just like, I need money. You just hand them a DVD copy of Cricket on the Hearth.
It's gonna be worth billions one of these days.
Yes, yeah.
The actual Cricket from the film is in this little DVD case.
Oh,
like you can meet the Cricket from Cricket on the Hearth, guys.
You can meet Mr. Cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. All right, good. I've done my job then. Spreading Marxism. Wait a minute. That's not right. All right, Phineas. Shout out your stuff, dude. Where can people find you?
I am on YouTube at the one and only Phineas, but I've got a major retrospective on all of the Looney Tunes show coming out probably later this week. But then I'm also I've got some content coming out of my friend Lazy Bedhead's channel that we did a podcast on the film Uglies, which is coming out soon. And then also I'm showing up soon on my friend Awesome May's podcast, or my friend Awesome May and I are starting a podcast called Charmcast. So
new podcast competition. Just kidding. There's no competition.
No. I already have 2 other podcasts, so this is just my 3rd one, but it's not on my channel, so it's like less my podcast, more his podcast, but it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Everybody has a podcast. There's literally no competition. We're just if you don't have a podcast, you're considered weird.
It's the podcast arms race, you know?
It's literally that picture of people in a pool, but like there's like one guy who's not pissing his pants, everybody else around him is pissing his pants. It's like that one guy doesn't have a podcast, the rest of us do.
Yeah.
Sorry, were there other things you wanted to shout out?
Basically just that. I've been working at it. I've been working at each of these projects. The thing for me is I get just very, very busy very, very quickly often, because it's like things just kind of happen in the Phineas verse, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I've been busy myself. I obviously, because I've been speedrunning through a lot of episodes, and
it's impressive.
Also, next episode, I can say this with full confidence. Next episode, it's gonna be interesting. It's not what you think it is. It's gonna be interesting. And watches people get very disappointed by what it is.
Oh boy.
But anyway, as for this episode, your links will be in the description below. And again, cool. I can't thank you enough for coming on to talk about this movie.
I don't mind. It's fun.
Yeah.
The fun thing too for us has been, it's like usually when I'm coming onto the show, it's like I'm like, what do you want to talk about? You know,
Mhm.
because I enjoy learning about film through you, a lot of it. You know.
I do have one or two up my sleeve from time to time, so that's always good.
Very much so.
Yeah. So, all right, that's gonna do it. I don't have a nifty little Groucho Marx quote to end on, so just bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you all next time.
I do have a Harpo Marx quote to end on.
Oh, okay, say it. That is so classic Harpo.
And 2 hard-boiled eggs.
And 2 hard-boiled eggs. Make that 3 hard-boiled eggs.